Baruch Hashem, here we are again in the Amud Yomi show. Nundala Amud Beis in the bottom of the page. Yeah, bottom of Nundala Amud Beis. We are learning about the first dibois and the second dibois, the first luchois and the second luchois, right? In other words, we saw yesterday, and by the way, this year's Ilu Nishmas, Ovi Moira Menachem Nakiva, Toro Bas Moshe, לרפואה, ססטרפום בס שושנה מלכה, לרפואה נוח ליונל בן יוליה אוריה, לרפואה, quick, yep, יהודיס בס רבקה, לרפואה פנינה חיה בס גאולה רוכל, לרפואה שלמה אברהם בן יהודיס, בסויך שאר חוי לישראל. שואל רבי Fanina Ben Agil. Yesterday we learned about the Dibros Rishonis and the second Dibros because we discussed the idea of the first Luchos. It says Behem Techo, about resting in Shabbos. An animal has to rest on Shabbos. In the second Dibros it says Shorcho v'chamocho, your ox and donkey, and then again called Behem Techo. So we thought maybe it's Klal u'Prat u'Klal. Then we said no. Then we said it's just a Klal at the end that includes all animals, even birds. But there was correlation between the first Dibros and the second Dibros. That leads the Gemara to the following sugya. Shol Rabbi Chanina ben Agil. Rabbi Chanina ben Agil asked this Rabbi Chia bar Abba. He asked Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Mipnei b'Dibros Rishonos lo ne'emar behem toiv. Why is it in the first Dibros the word toiv doesn't exist, is not written? B'Dibros ha'achronos, in the second Dibros ne'emar behem toiv. It says the word toiv, the word good, is written in the second Dibros. Where does it say that? It says only there are differences between the first Luchos and the second Luchos. One of the differences is that the second one, it says Leman Yitav Loch. Yeah, Kabbalis Avicha Ve'esimecha. Yeah, Leman Yitav Loch. Okay, here it says, yeah, okay. Kabbalis Avicha Ve'esimecha, Leman Yitav Loch. Okay, so the question is, why is it that in the first Dibros it doesn't say Leman Yitav Loch? Yeah, in the second one it says Leman Yitav Lach. Why the difference? Okay, Amaloi. So he answered him back, and he answered as follows. He didn't really answer him. Amaloi, Ad shata sholeni lama nimar behem toiv. Before you ask me why it says toiv in the second Dibros, she'elani im nimar behem toiv im lav. Ask me if it says tov or if it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if it's in the second luchos it says tov or doesn't say tov. And therefore, everyone here, as I can see, people making faces. Very good. I'll continue, and then we'll deal with this difficult question. But then he's suggesting to him, Klach etzel Rabbi Tanchum bar Chaniloi. Go to Rabbi Tanchum bar Chaniloi. Why? Shoyorogel Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Tanchum bar Chaniloi was a regular, was like a Talmud, was always listening to Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Shoyboki ba'agodo. And Rabbi Shua ben Levi was a Boki ba'agodo. Yeah, we're in Bava Kama daf nun hey Amud Aleph, about fifth or sixth line from the top of the page. So Bekitzer, he told him, I don't know if it says the word toiv in the second luchos, and therefore you have to go to somebody who's a bigger mumcher, Rabbi Tanchum bar Chaniloi, who is a Talmud of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, who's Boki ba'agodo. Toisfes in Bava Basra, yeah, Toisfes Gil and Shas here, Toisfes Bava Basra, Daf Kuf Yud Gimel says something unbelievable, that not all Tanoim were mumche in all the psukim. Very difficult to understand. They didn't know all the psukim just like that by heart, so therefore he says, I don't know if that's what it says. That's very hard to understand this Toisfes. It can't be. The Achronim go ballistic because what do you mean? I mean, this is something kids in Cheder know in 2021. The Tanoim knew it. So here come other Achronim and they explain, and also another question is, he could have said, Eini Yodea. Why is he going to the whole business of Achata Sholeni, Im Nemar, Im Lav? He goes through a whole, rigmarole over here to start telling him why he doesn't know what it says to or not. Explains the Pnei Yoshua and Reza Moshe Horowitz also, Maratz Chayes. They explain more or less the following. Of course, it says in the second Dibros Leman Yitav Loch. The question is, I don't know. You think we're talking here about good? I don't know what kind of good we're talking about. You're asking me, why does it say toiv? I don't know what this toiv means. Why? Because there's a discussion what it says regarding there's a question, does it mean Yarichun Yomecha in this world? Yeah, will you have long life? Or does it mean your Olam Haba after you die, after you go upstairs to heaven, will you have good long life over there? Or a third option, I'm combining here different meforshim, maybe means to say the Olam Haba after Tchias HaMeisim. After Hashem will destroy this Olam Hazeh, I think it's being destroyed already, yeah? When he'll finally destroy Olam Hazeh, yeah, after Mashiach comes, and he'll rebuild a new world, and then we'll make it to the world. That world is what we're talking about. So he says, you're asking me why. I don't like to get the question why before you know the what. In other words, do you know Bichlal what the word Yitav means? We don't know. It's a discussion in other places in Shas. What does it mean, Yitav Loch? Is this good in this world, good in that world? I don't know. I don't know what kind of toiv. Does it really say toiv? Is it the eternal toiv, the toiv of Olam Haba? Maybe it's toiv of Olam Hazeh, which is not such great shakes. It's only, I don't know, 120 years. That's a question. What kind, what level, what quality of toiv are we talking about? So I don't know about that. Go ask the Talmud of Shiur ben Levi, Rival, Kamabet. Rival, Rabbi Shiur ben Levi, he's a Boki in Agodo. By the way, this line of Pnei Yehoshua will continue to the next piece of Gemara. So really, he went to Rabbi Shiur ben Levi. Yeah, okay. Rabbi Chanina ben Agil went to Rabbi Shiur ben to Tanchum bar Chaniloi, Omerle, and then at the end of the day, he got back to him. He got back to Rabbi Chia bar Abba, and he told him, "Mimenoi lo shamati." I did not hear from him the right answer about what kind of toiv is it, or why, or what. Elakach Omerli Shmuel bar Nachum. The one who told me was Shmuel bar Nachum. Achi imo shel Rav Acha bar Chanina, the brother of the mother of Rav Acha bar Chanina, the uncle of Rav Acha bar Chanina. The Amrila, some say Avi imo shel Rav Acha bar Chanina. Some say he was the father of the mother, the grandfather of Rav Acha bar Chanina. And what does it say? What's the answer? Why does it only say toiv in the second luchos and not the first ones? Because the second luchos, the first luchos Hashem knew were susceptible of being broken, as it happened in the end, and Moshe Rabbeinu had to break the luchos, right? Because they're about to be break, Mimela Hashem did not want to put the word toiv in the first luchos. So what? So what if they're going to break? Still, why can't we hear a good word? Yitav lecha. A lot of things are written in the first luchos, even though they're going to break, right? It says zochor. Many things are written there. Answers the Gemara, Marvashi. No, it's not good. Of course, it says many different things in the first luchos, although they were, about to be broken. But if you write the word toiv and that gets broken, that breaks, that's terrible. Because you take the word toiv and then you break it, that's not good. That's like a siman ra. That's like pesach pelasoton. That's not a good sign, not a good omen. And therefore, that's like showing as if the toiva was poistic, as if the toiva was interrupted, is broken, that we don't want. Excuse me, Rabbi, what about the Pnei Yehoshua's pshat? Says the Pnei Yehoshua in the Matzchai. They say beautiful. They say very, very nice. They say like this. We discussed whether the toiv means toiv in Olam Hazeh, or maybe in this world after Mashiach comes, or even after that, or is toiv means post-death. Yeah, post-death experience. Lachar me'avesrim, when you go up to Gan Eden. Says the answer, here's the answer. Because in the first luchos, when were they given? They were given when Bnei Israel were, obviously, before Chet HaEgel, obviously, right? Bnei Israel, when they got the luchos, they got to the level of who? Adam HaRishon before the Chet. When they got the first luchos, the level was so high, they were like Adam HaRishon before the Chet, and therefore, Adam HaRishon before the Chet, was he supposed to die? No. Says the Ramchal, Adam HaRishon was not supposed to die. I mean, it says it's in the Torah. Ramchal explains because there was no contradiction between body and soul. The body wasn't so filthy, wasn't so schmutzdik. The neshama could coexist with the body till 120 and past and forever, 120 million. Why? Because the body would never fight with the neshama and eventually they have to part. They could live literally happily ever after, but literally happily ever after. That was before the Chet, because everything was pure, even the goof. That's why it was naked, because each and every part of his body was completely kodesh. Seriously, that's what it says in Ramchal before that. Mimela, he says like this. In the first luchos, it doesn't say toiv. You know why? Because in the first luchos, really toiv means what? Olam haba, past death. There's no point of talking about post-death good because there is no post-death. In the first luchos, there's no death. So it's stupid to tell people, or even some kind of ein hara, to tell them, or pesach balasotan, to tell them, you're really going to die. That's good for what we're saying here. We're not trying to break the toiva. It's supposed to be forever. There is no death and promising olam haba, leman yitav loch. In the second luchos, that's ochen vei. That's in Parshas Veschanan, and that is described by Moshe, and that's the second luchos where, they were after the Chet Egel. That's all business. Sol lecha is after Chet Egel. That's in Kisisa. And therefore, once Moshe Rabbeinu carved his own Gashmis Bikaluchos Basar Vadom, and everything is lower, and people are surely going to die, as we all do at one point in life. Yeah, people die at one point in life. And therefore, there it says Lamani Tavloch. Because Lamani Tavloch means post-death schar, Olam haba reward, mainly it says there Lamani Tavloch. That's how everything ties up very nicely together. Amar B'Yeshua, okay? Amar B'Yeshua, said Rabbi Joshua. Amar B'Yeshua, more agadita. Yeah, it's the end of the perek. You realize that? Yeah, you can see the bottom of the page. Amar B'Yeshua, Aroya tes b'chaloimoy siman yof Eloi. Whoever sees the letter tes in his dream, that's a good siman. That symbolizes something good. That's good omen. Yeah, siman yof Eloi. Why? My timer. Why is tes such a good thing to see in the dream? Is it because tes is for toiv? Well, tes stands also for many other things. Yeah, I would say in the same token, Ema, I would suggest the negative words about tes, and there are plenty. It says vetitatia matate hashmad. What's matate in Hebrew? I don't know Hebrew. Yeah, I'm impressed with everybody here. I will sweep it with a broom of destruction, of annihilation. That's very bad nevuah. Hashem will wipe us away. Sweep us away, sweep us out, and that it says matate titatia starts with a tes letate. So tes also means klolos, right? Tell me tes is so good and automatically amazing. Why? And says no. Chad tes kamrinan. Titatia is tete tet. Tes and tes tete tet. It's two tes. Yeah, French. Tes two tes, and therefore two tes are not good. Tete. Mashenkin, one test is only toiv, is only good. Perek the Gemara, mapitom, ema tumoso beshuleho. No, it says in Eicha, Lamentations. It says in Eicha, Yirmiyahu says tumoso beshuleho. Its tuma is like in the bottom of its dress, like a nisha nida. It's very disgusting. It's very disturbing. In other words, our tuma, and this is talking about real destruction. Yeah, tumoso beshuleho. It's all posuk. Read the posuk. Lo zocha charisa v'tered ploim. Emenachem lo oy vavoy. It went down terribly and nobody can console. That's a bad pasuk, and it also starts with the test. So how do you know test is so good? Ela, no. Answers the test best kamrinan. No, enchinami. Maybe we meant if you see the words test best, tet and then bet test best. That's good. Enchinami test alone lost the crown. There are all kinds of tuma. Tuma is not a good thing. The test best, that's good. You see the letters test best. Try and fantasize all day long about the letters test best. Yeah, start meditating now, maybe you'll get there at night. But test best is good, but test alone is not good. Perek the Gemara, that's not good either. Ema, I would suggest also negative word in test best. Ema tov uba oret shara. Same safer over there. In Echet says tovu what's litboa, to drown, to sink, to drown. Tov about shara. The Sholim, the beautiful gates of Yerushalayim, whatever they represent, the Beis Din, they sink. Yeah, they sink underground. They're gone. To see tavu litboa is a terrible thing. People drown. Chas v'shalom. To see in the Torah, test best is not good either. We're really stuck. Ella, here comes the answer, and that's a big yesod in Ashkofa in how to learn Torah law. The Torah starts with the word test positively, which means shemi bereshis ad vayar Elokim es or lo ksiv tes. From the beginning of the Torah until vayar Elokim es or ki toiv. That's the first time the word test is mentioned. Since the first time the word test is mentioned is in a good connotation, not just good, the best. What's better than better? Best, toiv. That's the ultimate good. Since the letter test, the first time it makes its its first appearance, I meant to say, its first appearance, its debut appearance in the Torah is in test. that shows that the essence of test is good, even without base. You see that. If you see the word test, that's a very good thing in a dream. By the way, that Yesod is mentioned, I don't remember by who, but I think maybe Reverse and others, Maharal, people who go deep into Torah, they tell you, whenever you want to know the essence of a word, obviously go to the Torah. You don't go to Idiot Achronot, or not even to Modir Mishpacha. In modern Hebrew, many times the messes things up. When you want to know the essence of a word, whatever the word is in Hebrew, in real Hebrew, Melech, Matateh, Shulchan, Kiseh, you go to the first time it's mentioned in the Torah. But to the Torah, the first time it's mentioned in the Torah is the most crucial, so to speak, time, the most significant time it appears, and that shows you the essence of the word. So since the letter Tes appears for the first time, it makes its first appearance with the word Toiv, Baruch Hashem. If you see Toiv, you see the word Tes, the letter Tes already means something good. Yeah, expect the Tes. One more thing about Drimelach. Whoa. You see a hesped in your dream. Oh, you're going to get the sped eulogy. You know what hesped means. I don't have to translate that one, I hope. Yeah, one who sees hesped in his dream. Chasu olav min hashamayim upda'u. Not such a bad thing. Hashem had mercy on you and redeemed you from death. Yeah, you would have had a hesped, but you didn't. Look, you're awake, you're up and about. That means Hashem actually had the rachmanus on you and it decided to let you live. So it's sort of bittersweet. There was a bad din on you, but Hashem had Rachmanus and saved you, salvaged you from the bad din. But one condition, Hanimili Biksova. That is only true if you see it in writing. Yeah, not writing like in the lawyer, I want to see it in writing. You saw the word hesped written, not that you saw an entire hesped going on, but the word hesped, hey, Samach Peidalad, you saw it written in your dream, and that was something, and that is something that symbolizes the hesped that you would have had, and Baruch Hashem, you didn't. Okay. Let me ask a question. I have a question, Rabbi. Why hesped? I mean, you can say mavis. You saw the word mavis, the word death, and really Hashem had Rachmanus didn't kill you, right? Why specifically hesped is the word that denotes the fact that there was bad din and then there was mercy. Says the Heilige Maharsha, very, very short Maharsha. You know, the Maharsha is one of the main Meforshim when it comes to many things, especially Agadita. Says Maharsha, Shahei bimkom ches. In other words, hey and ches are interchangeable many times. Yeah, both come from here, from the throat. Ha, ha. Yeah. Aches the ein chalom beloy dvon betelim. Ve'az yechas pad. Hesped, if you change the hey to a ches, then what comes out? Chasu olov upda'u. Look at the words of the Gemara, the second wide line. Chasu olov min shamayim upda'u. Take the first words of each chas of the two verbs. Chas, Hashem and Rachmanus. Pad, pada, padu. He redeemed. Hesped, chaspad. That's why hesped is chaspad. It's death. Hesped, chaspad. Hashem was chas. Hashem and Rachmanus, and redeemed you from the bad. Misa chas v'shalom. Yeah, go ahead. Questions, and then we continue. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Oris are very welcome. So a friend of you. Okay, non-confirmed, but assumed that the difference in letters between the first luchas and the second luchas are there's 17 letters that are different. What words? Words. Okay, excuse me. And toiv is 17. So interesting. So toiv is the word that appears here, it doesn't appear over there. And also the difference in the gematria in numbers between the first and the second is also 17. Very nice. Yes. Sir. Okay. What did we say? That chayav oif, when it comes to all kinds of halachas, actually almost all halachas in the Torah relating to animals, they all relate to animals of both chaya or behema, or even birds. Now that includes what? That includes harbo. What's harbo? You're not allowed to cause two animals to mate, help them mate, bring them one on top of the other in order to create a new kind of species, providing that those two animals are different, are very different. You can't get them together to create a new one. For example, a horse and a most classical example, a horse and a donkey, don't get them together to create a mule. In Jordan, a lot of mules there, a lot of mules all the time. וכן חי ואוהב כיוצא בהן. אומר Shlakish, kan shono Rebbe. In this Mishnah, Rebbe actually taught us, Rebbe, obviously the author of the Mishnah, he taught us the following halacha. Tarnagoil is a rooster. Tavas, what's Tavas? Tavas is a peacock. Some say it's a peacock, like in modern Hebrew. That's what Rashi describes it, with a beautiful long tail. And some say it's a parrot. Some say Tavas is a targum of Tuki. So if Tuki is a parrot, like in modern Hebrew, Tavas could be a parrot. Pasioni is the kosher animal similar to Slav, quail, something of that family. Pasion, also in modern Hebrew. Pheasant, maybe. Pheasant is similar to quail, right? I think. Whatever, something like that. Yeah, the partridge. The kids are one of those. These types of birds. If one gets, let's say, a rooster and a peacock to be together, that's downgrading the peacock, of course. If you get those birds together, either peacock with a quail, with a hule, all these, one of the three, one with the other, that's kilayim zebazeh, which means, what's the chiddush? Even though they're birds, nevertheless, because birds, you're not allowed to have the birds, creating a new species, that's also perek the Gemara, pshita, of course, what are you coming to tell me? I know how to read the Mishnah. I know the Rebbe said that kilayim applies to birds. I can figure out myself. You start trying to show Chas Shalom your knowledge in birds. You're a good ornithologist. I know about birds. What are you telling me here? Says the Gemara. Yes, there's a chiddush. Amar Rav Chaviva. There's a chiddush, says Rav Chaviva. Mishum de Rabu ba'adi adodi. Because they grow next to each other. What does that mean? There are different explanations. The Rabu is like they grow. They're being bred together. Either means that they live one next to the other in the same area. But the other pshat that I saw, B'Shem the Ravid, Shoinim, he says sometimes they take care of the other of the chicks of the other species. In other words, they live together. Ad kedei kach, one mother babysits, so to speak, for the baby chicks of the other one. So I would say maybe Mao de Tema, I would have said min chadu. Maybe they're all considered halachically as one species. So then there's no kilayim. You have to know. And the Rambam says that I saw the Rambam yesterday. Just to make sure. The Rambam says when two species are very similar to each other, it's not called kilayim. What's called very similar? What it's not very similar, that's already a whole issue in halacha. And here comes the issue when it comes to birds. On one hand, one would claim, of course, everybody knows that a rooster and a peacock are very different. But on the other hand, if they live so nicely and happily together and they help each other babysit, maybe that makes them they're not far apart enough. Maybe they're not different enough to be considered to be osir in one with the other. Maybe there are two variations on the same theme. Maybe they're from the same family, halachically. Maybe. Kamash Malan, no. Kamash Malan, that halacha does view them differently, as Rav Chaviva, as Rish Lakish says. That's Chiddush of Rish Lakish. We view them differently. They're very different. The fact they raise each other's kids, that's a different question. She pays her money, she babysits, doesn't mean that they're the same mean. Omar Shmuel, now we're talking more further about kilayim, of the prohibition of having two animals, specifically two birds, from two different types, starting a new family. Omar Shmuel, avaz, goose, the avaz abba, wild goose. Okay, goose, a home goose, the one grows your back house, your backyard, and the wild goose, kilayim zebazeh. They are kilayim one with the other, even though they're similar. And usually, by the way, I'll tell you from the Rambam, when you have X and you have wild X, ox and wild ox, donkey and wild donkey, horse and wild horse. Now there's the two variations on the same theme. One of them is domesticated and domestic. The other one is wild. They're not kilayim. Both are different. Let's say many different types of bulls, not because we're Bava Kama, because I know about it. Bulls, there's a bull who grows, he's bred where in your backyard, maybe not yours, in the kibbutz. And there's a bull who's out there wild. There are wild wildebeest, the wild bulls in the nature. So they're different, but they're not different enough. They're considered of the same family, that if you have a shidduch between the wild one and the home one, the domestic one, it's usually not kilayim. That's the starting point. The wild one and the home one are, if they're both from the same ox, horse, wild horse. Some horses are very wild. You can't begin to control them. They're not meant to be at home. They're different types. But the wild horse with the home horse, if they can manage a shalom bayis, so then you're allowed to have them together. But all of a sudden, when it comes to geese, it's different. Upa. Perek the Gemara, Maskif l'Rava bar Rav Chanan, my time it. Why are you going out of line? And you're telling me that when it comes to geese, all of a sudden, then it's different and you can't make the shidduch. Ilema, if it's mishum dahai orich koi, one of them has a long koi, usually means neck. Here koi means beak. Yeah, is it because one of them has a long beak? The koi, the other one has a small beak. Is that the reason? Like, hello, you're telling me because of the size of the beak that makes the difference between them so significant? According to you, excuse me, Elameata, if we follow your logic, Gamla Parsa, the Persian camel, the Gamla Taya, the Arab camel, yeah, Taya is always Arab, the high Olim Koi, one of them has a thick koi. Here, koi means neck. One of them has a thick neck, yeah, and one of them, the high cotton koi, one of them has a thick, yeah, it's true. I don't know Persian and Arab, but it's true. Some camels, they have very thin neck, and some of them like a thick one. I realize now, you see different photos, it's true. Yeah, yeah. Not that the Gemara needs my askoma. Yeah, but it all of a sudden I picture in my mind. By cotton koi, some camels, they have a thick, some species of camels have a thick neck, and some of them have like, narrow and elegant. Yeah. When it's also kilaim, lo matzino davar kazeh. We never found that camels of different species, of different variations of the species, subspecies, are different because of such small differences. Is that what bothers you about the size of one organ, such as the beak? That makes it so different. Elo Abaye comes Abaye with a different answer. Why they are different significantly? The testicles of the wild goose are outside. They're visible, like human being and many mammals. They're outside. But the testicles of the home goose, of the domesticated one, they're inside. They're internal. You don't see them. And because the testicles being inside or outside are very significant, maybe also to do with the fact that it has to do with mating, I think, right? Maybe to do with the way they how do you say procreate? Not procreate. I mean, yeah, procreate. Yeah. They multiply. So Mimela, you see that's a matzah. It's very different. Pope says something else to do with that type of their part of the body. Oh, he's talking about the female now. Oh, the female goose, whatever that's called, of the wild one, when she gets, I would say, pregnant, then she only gets one egg in her ovary. Shachala, also in modern Hebrew, is ovary. Yeah, she gets only one egg, and that's it. One egg per time. That's the home one. No, that's the wild one. That's the wild one. Bar is only one. Yeah, until she lays the egg, she doesn't get another egg. One at a time. That's a wild one. But the goose that lives at home, the domesticated one, that one has a few eggs together in one ovary in one time. It has a few eggs. So that's the more significant difference. It's something internal in the reproductive system. And therefore, both male and female are different in the way they reproduce. Oh, that's significant difference. And therefore, in this species only, as far as I know, the wild one and the home one are so different, they cannot be made together. Not a shidduch. Nishka gut a shidduch. It says by human beings too, take a girl from your own city. Take somebody from similar mentality, similar background is better. Male, female is really hard to get, to get along. Better be somebody of similar mentality. So here too, lahavdil. Omer Biumia. Yeah, okay. Omer Biumia. Omer Shlakish. Let's go now. Let's dive undersea. Let's go to the sea now. Let's go dive now. Scuba diving. Omer Biumia. Omer Shlakish. Amar bia shnei minim shebayam loike. A person who somehow manages to get two fish together to mate and create a new type, loike. Also, it's Isser D'Oraisa, and you get Malchus. Even though we're talking about fish over here, we didn't yet discuss fish. I mean, I mentioned fish yesterday, but the Gemara didn't. Yeah, it was my assumption. But now we're talking about fish. And if you're marbia two fish, now Tosis says you cannot be marbia fish. Tosis wants to say that we're not talking about fish, we're talking about sea creatures that are not fish, maybe seals, I don't know, maybe something else, whatever there is, but some kind of creature that you can somehow control and have them mate together with your control, or you do it somehow. So if you did that, and there are different types of sea creatures, like it. My time, why is that? In other words, the question is, what do you mean my timer? I would say, if Tosis asks the question, we saw yesterday, the chol be'emtecho, and kol includes birds. Well, and then we said it includes any living being. I would say fish also. Wait with your question, we'll get there soon. First of all, the Gemara's question is why? Why is it that you're not allowed to have the fish mating together, two different types? Amar vada brava mishmei deula, asya leminehu miyabosho, which means in the story of the creation of the world. Are you familiar with the beginning of Genesis? Yeah, very nice. So it says the word leminehu, I don't know, its type, different types. It says it both about the land creatures and sea creatures. And therefore, we're trying to learn now a new limud. Since we know that kilaim, that mating the kilaim together, the two different types of animals, the donkey and the horse, for example, live on earth, live in land, the dry land, everything applies to them. And it says leminehu about them in the story of the Bria, of the creation. And it also says the word leminehu about the fish. Everything that applies in the land applies to the fish as well. Okay? Tosfos asks the question. If you want, you can follow me to Tosfos. There's a Tosfos, Dibor Maschil leminehu, which is the second wide line. But if you go to the Tosfos, go all the way to the bottom of that Tosfos. Tosfos leminehu, you see in the second wide line? That's what Dibra Maschil is. Please go to the end of the Tosfos, being Toimo. Towards it, it's right above the words the Hamanig. You can look at Tosfos Hamanig Be'iza v'Shibuta. You need help? You manage? Hamanig Be'iza v'Shibuta, 2 lines above that. Beim Toimo. Tosfos asks the question. Lamadi lemelef kilaim da'albo. Yeah. Be'emtecho. Yeah. In other words, he's asking the other way around for me. Lamadi lemelef kilaim da'albo be'emtecho mishabes l'rbuyei oifois. The question is like this. We learned yesterday about oifois, be'emtecho, just like behema of Shabbos includes the birds, so too the behema mentioned everywhere is birds. Voila, and I know with no question that that geese, that goose and the other goose, oh, not a shidduch, marrying out. I know about the birds. If so, then why do we need the birds to be taught from the Dibros, from Shabbos mentioned in our Sinai and Dibros, where it says lebemtecha v'chol kol beemtecha? Why? It says about the birds also lemineu. Learn from Genesis, learn from Bereshis. It says lemineu. Hashem created everything in the 6 days. So learn from over there. Get the question? If that's such a trick, such a magic trick, mineu, great. So I know everything that applies to mammals, let's say, applies to everybody, to fish, to birds, and to, I don't know, the birds and everybody. The Yesh Loimar says to us, no, it's not so simple. The Lav Gzera Shova, if not for the Gzera Shova of what? Of Lemineu, Lo Avima Pikod Be'emtecha Mimashmausa. Yeah, Be'emtecha alone, just the word Be'emtecha, I wouldn't have taken it out of context. I wouldn't have known. I would have said Be'emtecha stays Be'emtecha. Aval hashtu dosik Gzera Shova mapka likro mimashmausa. Now that the Gzera Shova takes it out of its regular context and widens the idea of Be'emtecha, which means only after the Torah told me in Har Sinai that the word Behemtecha is open to more interpretation, including birds. Now I can learn mineu also about the fish from Bereshis. I think the reason is because really, I think maybe I'm wrong. Really, the Torah Bereshis is not halachic, not a halacha. Stam mineu, right? It doesn't say anything halachic over there. Only once I know that halacha opens behemtecha to a wider interpretation in halacha, Shabbos, Kilaim. Now I know also that the story of Bereshis, where it says lemineu, opens even more to even fish. That's what I understand. Weiter, back to the Gemara. Omer Birmia, Omer Ish Lakish. Sorry, no, excuse me. Boy Rachba. A question by an Amor called Rachava. The question is as follows. Amanik be'iza de shibuta. That's very, very unique and wild. A person is manhig, is leading, schlepping something, let's say a carriage, with an ez. One side of the carriage is led by an ez, ez is the goat, and one of them is a fish called shibuta. which means, let's say you have like a boat, and one side of the boat is being schlepped, is being led by is tied to a fish called shibuta, and the other side is to a goat that runs on the bank of the river. Yeah, I saw once actually. I saw in a clip once that like a history thing, that they had a boat and the boat was schlepped by two horses on each side, each bank of the river. There was one horse and one. You've seen that? In the olden days, it used to be maybe in England, it was like a historical thing. It was a real thing. Yeah, one horse over here, one's over there, one's horse on the other bank of the river, and they're both tied to the boat, and the boat is being schlepped that way. Okay, fine, easy life. Nobody has to use the oars. So now the question is, what happens if you do one is being schlepped with an ez and a shibuta? What's the problem? Now, what's the question? Well, first of all, you have to know that just like you're not allowed to use two different animals that are significantly different to lotachroish. What's lotachroish? Don't plow with a horse, excuse me, with shor and chamor together. So too, you're not allowed to schlep with them. If you have two different types of animals, you're not allowed to schlep a carriage with them too. Let's say you sit in a carriage. Let's say you go to one of these places like Netanya, or I don't know, yeah, one of these tourist places, and you have like a horsey and buggy, okay, and a kibbutz maybe sometimes, things like that. And what? And it's schlepped by a chamor and a shor. Oy vey. The guy is chiloni, he doesn't know shor v'chamor osir. So then what? You have to jump off the carriage. You're not allowed to be in a carriage where you're being schlepped by shor v'chamor. I saw Rambam yesterday, which I was very, very surprised to see. And the Rambam says the definition of shor v'chamor is not about different speeds, although that's the common explanation. Says the Rambam, no. The idea is you're not allowed to have a kosher animal and a non-kosher animal schlepping together. Wow. That's what he says. That's the problem. Kosher and non-kosher together, that is the problem of schlepping things together or plowing together, working together. And they quote the Mishnah. I saw the Mishnah. The Mishnah is not so simple. The Rambam learns the Mishnah that way. According to the Rambam, the idea is kosher and non-kosher together. These are the two. That's the bad shidduch. Don't have them schlepped together. Okay. What do you mean? Schlepping to? No.
Said you plow. The person plows with an animal.
That's allowed.
An issue.
No, actually, we said it's allowed. No, why? No, we said odamuterim kulam. Why? It says the person is allowed with everybody. It says odamuterim kulam. A man is allowed to schlep with other animals. Odamuterim kulam. Bolshikin with another persona. Yeah, with another person. Yeah, you can schlep with Mackenzie. Mackenzie, here we come. Let's go. You took the words out of my mouth. Very good. Says Rabbi Yitzchak. Very nice. Shibuta is kosher. How do we know? Because the Gemara says both at the beginning of the second perek of Kiddushin and also in Shabbos, Kufiu, the Tes Berech, it says that the Amoyroim HaKadoshim would, one of them would prepare, would grill the Shibuta in honor of Shabbos. So Shibuta is kosher. Say the Meforshim, Shibuta is the sea goat. It says in the Gemara that every animal has its equivalent in the sea. The equivalent of Ez is a shibuta. So now that raises a lot of questions because we see that it's kosher, and still there's a question, maybe it's osir. Maybe the Rambam would agree it's osir because it's so different. But let's continue the Gemara and then we'll talk about everything else. Let's restart. Amanig be'iza v'shibuta. He's leading a boat, let's say, one part with cooperation between who? The Ez, the goat, and the shibuta. Now, what's the question? Mi amrinan, what do we say? Kevin the Iza lonoch is bayam, and Ez would never be able to go down to sea and live there. The Shibuta l'salak yabasha. Shibuta would never come to the yabasha, to the land. Loi klum ovid. It's not considered of mixing two species. You know why? They're so far apart. They're so like way apart. They live literally in different worlds, different planets, so to speak. It's not considered like you mix them. To mix in a way of working together are two animals that have to do with each other. These animals, even though they are maybe similar in taste, I don't know, or some qualities, it's the sea as, but it's still nothing because they're so far apart. Lamaisa, there's no connection. Yeah. For example, a Jew to marry a Goyeta is osir and they're kilo married. The Jew to marry a table is not marriage. Nothing started. Nishta gornished. Yeah. Or Dilma, or maybe Hashtamias Kamani, or maybe not. At the end of the day, you are leading, they are leading the same boat. Physically, technically speaking, they're both doing this job together. They are managing. So do we go by the species, which is different, or do you go by the action, which is, yes, seems to be working, and maybe it's halachically wrong? That's a question, of course, in the Rambam, because Rambam says only kosher and non-kosher. Maybe the Rambam will tell you that what? That probably that C and Adamo is worse. Let's see. Maskif Ravina. Ravina is now attacking, and it's saying like that. Elamata, according to you, you're trying to tell me that there's a connection between the sea goat and between the sea goat and the land goat. According to what you're saying, let's say a person took in his one fist, one armful, he took in his hand chita v'se'ora, he took wheat and barley. Kilayim, you're not allowed to plant them together in the same land in Eretz Yisrael. V'zora chita ba'aretz, v'se'ora b'chutz la'aretz. The chita, he went to the border between Eretz Yisrael and Turkey. I mean what I say. There is a halachic border between Eretz Yisrael and Turkey. The geography is good. Don't worry about the geography, because halachically the entire Lebanon, according to some opinions, belongs to Eretz Yisrael. So let's say the entire Lebanon is Eretz Yisrael. Let's follow that opinion. I'm being very right wing over here, yeah. And let's say the border between Eretz Yisrael / Lebanon and Turkey. I go just to that halachic point between Eretz Yisrael and Lebanon and Chutz La'aretz. And I what do? In one motion, I throw the chita in Eretz Yisrael and the se'ora very, very, very close to it, but just across the border. Yeah. And now you tell me, are you allowed to plant kilaim in Chutz La'aretz of zroim, of two kernels together? Yes. The eastern Chutz La'aretz is only on grafting. You're not allowed to graft a tree. But in Chutz La'aretz, you're allowed to plant two species, two types close to each other. When Eretz Yisrael, you're not allowed to. So now he's saying, now, let's say you did that. Are you going to be chayev? We're trying to say as follows. Just like by kilaim, it's clear that even though I did an act of kilaim, you're talking to me about the act. No, it's an osur act, because Lamaisa, the two animals are schlepping together. I'm going to say about kilaim, if you look in such a narrow-minded way, well, I planted kilaim, and they're very close to each other. It's an action of kilaim. Who cares? One of them is in Chutz La'aretz, so that's okay, right? If one species, let's say the barley is in Turkey, it's fine, no problem. Even though it's very close, it just doesn't apply. So too over here, who cares? They're working together. They're in different worlds. The world of the sea and the world of the land are two different elokov zelzeh. So even though they're working together, I tend to say that it should be patu, that it's okay, or at least patu, because you're not halachically really connecting them. There's a very strong line between them that disconnects them, the dichotomy. Answers the Gemara, no, it's not the same. Amri, Hachi, Ashta, is that the same? No. Your comparison is wrong, says the Gemara to Avina. Awesome, over there, Oretz Makom Chiyuva. Eretz Yisrael is where Kilayim apply. Chutz La'aretz, Lo Makom Chiyuva. Chutz La'aretz is not a place of Chiyuv. If I go to Cherry Hill, very holy place, and I plant there Kilayim in the garden, it's fine, or at least the rice, for sure, it's okay. I mean, Mela, one place is a Chiyuv Dorais, and one place is not. Halcha, but over here with the story of the fish and the goat working together, Idi ve'idi Chiyuvahu, both places as of their own, if you look at each place separately, there is a Chiyuv. Let's say take a Shibuta and a carp, a Shibuta and a shark, I don't know, whoever, yeah? And they together, let's say the very different types of fish, and they schlep a boat together in the sea. That the dolphins do in the dolphinarium, actually, right? Yeah, they have two dolphins and they schlep something. So let's say instead of when they have a cooler kind of dolphinarium, a dolphin and the shibuta, yeah, they schlep together the guy behind. That would be usher. Don't go to that dolphinarium. Two fish together by themselves, there is an isser of l'sachosh b'shol v'chamol. And separately, let's move the camera now to the goat and a cow, let's say, or according to Rambam, goat and a pig together, also to shlep. So each one by himself is a place of Isser, unlike Kilayim in Cherry Hill or in London or in Florida, which is completely okay. It's not a comparison. In Mela here, there's a question. A goat with another species of the land is Osir. A shibuta with another fish is Osir. The question is, if I made a shidduch between the land creature and one fish creature, that's a question. Do we say that the two things somehow meet together and it's a problem, or because they work together, or do we say no? The mice said they're so far apart, so not connected that the Easter never applied to that situation because it's so different. That's a question, and it remains unresolved. I still have a question on the Rambam, which I have to find out because the Rambam says it's only kosher and non-kosher, and the goat and the shibut are both kosher. So according to the Rambam, what's the problem? Unless I didn't see all the Rambam, I saw one or two halachas in the Rambam. Maybe the Rambam will tell you that dafka fish and land is so different that makes it worse. Even the kosher ones, the difference is so glaring and so annoying for them. Maybe that's why. Yes, sir. Hey, wait. Finish the fifth perek. There are 10 prokim in this masechta. So we're prokim wise, at least we've been through half the masechta. Maybe we continue much more. Yes, Yitzchak, I'm listening to every word you say. We're going to continue the next Mishnah. Yes, I'm listening. Starting the Zog the Heilige Mishnah. We're only going to read the Mishnah without much pilpulim. Yeah, but let's see what the Mishnah has to say. A koinis tzon ladil. A person brought in the tzon. Tzon is, the goats, the sheep, ladil, to the pen. The noal befoneo. Yeah, to the house of the deer, not the deer. I meant to say sheep, goats, whatever. Goats, back to the goat. V'noal befoneo karoi. And he locked the door properly. Roi means just about okay, the proper way. Now that son, that goat, that animal went out and damaged others. He's potul. He is exempt. Why? Because says Rashi, not to my but he guarded it properly, not super properly, but the right way. What could have he done? That's called in Hebrew. Start with an oiness. He did it properly. The animal unexpectedly somehow managed to get out and damage. That's not his problem. If he did not lock properly the door and then he went out and mazik, then he is chayev. Why? Because the ne'ilah was there but not enough. The chiddush is maybe more chidushim, but the pshat is he locked but didn't lock well enough. He locked it in a some shlem shlmazel dik way, clumsy way, in a way that the animal can work that lock one out, and therefore he went out and damaged his chayiv. Nifretzo balayla. Let's say that pen was broken into by night. Nifretzo balayla. Something happened, and the door of the closure was broken at night. Why dafka night? We're going to see Tosfos. Or listim, or it was broken into by thieves. Now, the thieves did not take out the animal. The thieves, they're not looking for the animal. They thought the next to the animal is some gold bars. Yeah. So they broke the door. They did not touch the animal, doesn't interest them. And then because the door was broken, because of the listim, the yotzo went out be'ezika potu. Then he's potu if it was broken into by night, either by thieves or otherwise. By night, the animal went out and damaged his potu. Tosfos asks the question, and then you can look up Tosfos if you're nifretz balayla. Tosfos asks the question, who cares whether it's night or day? We already said that if it was broken unexpectedly, oinus, beyond his control, he's potu. Who cares whether it's day, night, or my grandmother's birthday, my mazah meshaneh? Says Tosfos. Afalpi, the second Tosfos. Afalpi the tana nol b'fnei koi potu. I already know that he's potter if you locked it properly. Why do you have to talk about night? Says Tosfos, you do have to say that if it happened by night, you're potter. Why? The Bava Kama, habayoim chayev the kala isle lemilsa mistom yodesh nifretza. Let's say it was broken in the day. Yeah, it was broken in the day, and during the day people know about it. Either you're awake and you hear it, or other people see it happening. Things that happen during the day usually, are more well known. The rumor spreads. So if during the day it was broken and Beis Din can prove that you most probably knew about it, you're chayiv. By night, you can be assumed that the same situation exactly, copy and paste, if it happened 2:00 at night, you can go to Beis Din and say, I didn't know. I was asleep. Everybody else was asleep. We're not party people 2:00 at night. We didn't do mishmar, and therefore what? I had no idea. Then you'd be exempt. That's a chiddush. The other story of the Reshi during the day was be'oines, was a different story. But if the same story happens day or night, by day you would be chayiv if you knew about it. By night, we assume you don't know about it. Inami, another answer why we talk about tonight as opposed to day. Balayla, afilu noidelo shenifot saviotsta behema. Wow. Let's say he knew that the behema really is out. Let's say it's 2 o'clock at night. He's learning in his house, the farmer, basmo de gdoilo, it's shmita. And now what? He sees that the animal is out, and he knows that the animal went out, even though he knows about it at night. He doesn't have to run after it too far and too much to look for it at night in the dark. Back then, I don't know if you know, there were no flashlights and there were no torches. There were torches, that kind, but not the electric torch. Yeah, a torch is a flashlight, by the way. And then, you know about that? Yeah, yeah, British. Yeah, yeah. So Mimela, he came here to study British English. That's the idea here. Huh? And now you don't have to start no electricity. It's a field, it's a wild area. I don't have to go on a wild goose chase to look for the animal. I can start, but after a certain point, it gets dangerous, it's all dark. I don't have to look too far for the animal and bring it back. I don't have to go out of my way. It's not like Chas v'Shalom, a missing child, Khalila, missing at night. Everyone goes crazy and goes and searches till no end. Yeah. If an animal goes out, even though it may be mazik, there's a limit if it's at night. Mashenkin by day, you do have to do as much as you can. By day, it's daytime. Everyone's awake. It's light. It's nice. It's everything. It's bright and shining and brighting. And therefore, you have to go out and do as much as you can and beyond in order to get the animal back to the pen so it shouldn't be mazik other people. We'll continue in Mishnah Mirza Hashem tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Starting perek Shishi. Exciting.